So it's about 1:15 here local time, which means we're 15 minutes away from the period of totality. It's getting really awesome. The moon's covering up a lot of it. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we're going to expect, because I'm not planning on being on camera the whole time. But as we approach that period of totality where the moon is going to cover up the sun completely, the last few moments we get some really cool effects. They're called Bailey's beads, named after an astronomer that first discovered them or talked about them. Last name of Bailey, go figure. But Bailey's beads are when the moon has moved into a position to cover up the sun, but the last little bits of light can come through the valleys of the moon. Remember, the moon isn't perfectly round, like perfectly a sphere. It's not perfectly smooth. It's got mountains and valleys and craters all over it. So as the light peeks through these last little bits of the valleys where the mountains are and the craters are, we get little bright flashes of lights around the moon. The last of this is called the diamond ring. And the diamond ring is the very last little bit of light that can fit through any of these little valleys before it completely goes dark. And we're 10, 12 minutes away from Bailey's beads to start happening. It's pretty awesome. I've been really pleased with how the eclipse has gone. Obviously my first one, but it's one to definitely remember. Yeah, we've got like a really tiny little crescent sun up there. You can even, if you look and can hold really still, you can even see some of that contour, some of the landscape of the moon, some of the tallest mountains maybe of the moon. You can just barely see them creating this little effect where we still have light. Pretty cool stuff. 1:30 in the afternoon, middle of the sun. Woo! Bailey's beads on the top right. There's the diamond ring. Yeah. Woo! Oh, I had my camera. Can you back up? Do it again.
Put your glasses on and look at the sun.
Alright, welcome back. We're just a couple minutes after the 2 minutes, maybe the 2.5 minutes, the fastest 2.5 minutes of my life, the period of totality. Sorry I didn't get that on record on video there, but I wanted to make sure I could really enjoy it. Just wanted to share a little bit of the experience and talk about the next one too. So, I've seen some really amazing sunsets and some beautiful places, but in terms of things up in the sky, it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. That 2.5 minutes of totality, it was just like you got that energy built up in you. You felt the excitement, everybody around was cheering, and it was just a really special time. If y'all want to go and watch another solar eclipse, if you missed this one, you're really lucky, because I talked about earlier how the last one that went from coast to coast was 99 years ago. The last one that was even visible in the United States was in 1979, and yet the next one is coming in just 8 years, April 8th, 2024. You can go ahead and mark it on your calendar. Maybe you'll be on spring break. They haven't put out those calendars yet, but we're going to definitely try to plan on going to see it. So that path is going to be a little bit different. This one went from coast to coast, and the 2024 solar eclipse isn't going to be able to cover as much area in the United States. It's going to come up through the middle of Mexico, cross through Texas, and up just west of here, and then it's got this curve to it that's going to bring it over Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. Niagara Falls might be an amazing place to go and see that one. It's going to leave the U.S. By Maine. So we've been to Maine a couple of times, and maybe Acadia National Park would be an amazing place up on Cadillac Mountain. Wow, that would be spectacular. But 2024 is just 8 years down the road. You guys are going to be maybe in college, just graduated high school. You're going to have that freedom to kind of do the things that you want to do. And I would plan on getting your car, filling it up with gas, driving somewhere to see it, because it's worth it, man. It was awesome. Alright, so now that that period of totality is over, we've got the sunlight coming through again. Just before the period of totality, we had a crescent sun. This little sliver of light over on the left side as my perspective looking up. And now that the moon continues to race through space around the Earth, it's moved away, starting to move away from where it's in line with the sun. And that little crescent bit of light is on the right side now as the moon is passing by. And that crescent's going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger over the next hour and a half. We still have about an hour and a half before this whole event is over. But the big event was definitely the period of totality. But over the next hour and a half, we're going to get more and more light coming out on the right side. It's going to warm up again like a nice hot summer day here in Tennessee. People are going to start to kind of go about on their normal business, maybe playing around in the lake, going out on their boats. My family, we got a long drive to head back today. I'm sure traffic's going to be a nightmare, but it was worth it. Alright, I think this is going to be my last segment I shoot. It's about 2:40 or so. They say that the eclipse is going to finish by around 2:56 local time here. So we've got about 15 minutes left. Looking up, the moon is pretty much completely past the sun. We've got just this little bit of shadow, this little round little piece that's been cut out of the sun. It's been a 3-hour experience, an amazing experience. You know, when I think back to the things that I know about space, I've never really spent much time looking through a telescope. There hasn't been much time to ever really see anything in space. I mean, we see stars at night, these little tiny little dots of white light up in the sky. We see the moon, and the moon is gorgeous. I love seeing the moon at night. You know, the sun is obviously a big part of our life, you know, but you can't get better than an experience like this, to see something, the movements that are going on out there in space right now, when you can see the moon move across the face of the sun and completely black it out for those 2.5 minutes. It's just amazing. Just want to leave you with a plea again. 2024, April 8th, 2024. Make plans, rent a car, drive a car, fly somewhere, Maine, New York, Texas, Missouri, wherever. Get somewhere and experience it like I did today.